Hello and welcome to Those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy, book, movie, pop culture, fandom, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And today we're talking Pixar, all things Pixar, our favorites, least favorites, the ones that had the most impact on our psyches, the ones we quote the most, the ones that freaked us out, the most memorable characters, all the things. But before that, we've got a load of snap, crackle, pop culture news today. So many things are going on. Natasha, you want to kick us off with our snap, crackle, pop culture news?
Yes. Okay, so Superman Legacy, which is going to be the new Superman series, just cast their Superman, Clark Kent, and Lois Lane. Superman is a relatively unknown actor. I know him from like a few bit roles in this Hollywood show. His name is David Cornsweet.
Cornsweet?
Yeah, it's not a good last name.
Is that how it's pronounced, Cornsweet?
It's like Cornswet. Cornsweet. Cornsweet.
Maybe it's Corinne Sweet.
I mean, it's definitely like a, I don't know, like a Polish. No, I don't know what name it is. Anyways, and Lois Lane is our very favorite Rachel Brosnahan from Mrs. Maisel, and I am so excited. This movie's gonna be like more like upbeat, and I think more of like this Superman that we knew instead of the Henry Cavill like darker Superman. So, which I mean, you can love both. I'm excited. I'm still not over Henry.
He looks a lot like Henry Cavill, just like a less intense version of him.
Yep, that's exactly. I know. My friends were over and they're like, "What do you think of the new Superman? Like, he's totally your type." I'm like, "Yes, every Superman is going to be my type."
They always cast the same type.
Yeah.
So today in Taylor Swift news, I've got a couple random things, but she's been spotted going in and out of Electric Lady Studios a bunch, and Joe Keery from Stranger Things was photographed leaving the studio after Taylor Swift's session as well, which is random.
Huh.
And yeah, I love Joe Keery. He's the one who plays Steve on Stranger Things. So very interesting. You don't usually see him out and about.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And she also added a couple new shows. There's a new show in LA happening on the 7th. So, and then there's a bunch of new shows. I think like 5 other new shows she added into the world tour mix. So she's doing a lot.
That was crazy. She added the LA tour and people were like, so that's 80,000 new seats. And like,
yeah, my neighbors got tickets.
I know everyone's asked, like, my friend Taylor was just like, how do I get in? I didn't get a code. I'm like, I don't know what happens if you don't get a code, but I guess you can't get tickets. But yeah, like my aunt is reselling her Taylor Swift tickets for a ridiculous amount because the want and need for Taylor Swift tickets is so high that you can just double the price of your tickets. So like, I'm interested to see how this is going to add to the whole, like,
well, now there's not as much
factor.
Demand since they added an extra 80,000.
I do know that there's still people out there who haven't gotten tickets, so who knows?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, she's doing the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and then the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th, which is a lot. But, you know, she's Taylor Swift. She's got stamina. We also learned that Olivia Rodrigo's new album is coming out September 8th, and it is called Guts, which I like that. I really like a one-word title. And Guts feels so like dirty and messy, like she says at the beginning of Brutal.
Yes.
It's really
what
messy.
What happened to the vampire thing? Was that like
It's coming
just a
out.
song?
It's a song, and it's going to come out June 8th. So, I mean, it's going to come out June 30th when this comes out. So we'll be able to listen to it once this comes out.
Oh.
And yeah, so that's very, very soon. And then we'll get the album September 8th, which is
Okay.
also fairly soon. Very exciting.
Very.
Other news, because there's so much news. Let's keep going here. Robert Downey Jr. is in the new movie Oppenheimer, which like isn't really news to anyone but me, because I finally watched a trailer for Oppenheimer.
Why is this in the news section?
Because it was news to me. There's so many people in that movie.
There's so many people
coming out soon, and I'm excited because I love Christopher Nolan movies, except Tenet, which was sad and disappointing. But everything else, grand. And other news, Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice did the Barbie World remix for Aqua's song Barbie, you know? Let's go Barbie. Yeah. I watched it. It wasn't really a remix. It was her doing like a whole new rap with it very quietly in the background. So it's like, I was expecting like, come on Barbie. Come on,
yeah,
Ken. It's not like
very
the
Barbie.
song. Yeah. It's
for the new Barbie movie. Are you sure?
Yeah, I think there was. Yeah, it's for the new Barbie movie. Like it's all Barbie themed. Okay. I don't know if they're playing it in the movie, but it's just like in celebration of the Barbie movie. There was a quote from Margot Robbie being like, Greta, we need to involve the Barbie song somehow before the Barbie movie. How are we going to do it? So I guess this is how they're doing it. And yeah, what else do you have for us?
Okay, so I was looking up books because and on my Kindle app, it said that there's the new Blood and Ash book coming out, which is the Jennifer L. Armentrout book series. And I went over this with Christine last night, and we were just appalled and amazed at the book titles.
It's really a parody of itself.
It really is.
Every YA keyword ever used mashed into every single title of the series. You have to just like read out all of the books in the series.
I will, but I just want to say that the series is actually one of my favorites, and I know people make fun of it, and I can see, but I also am like, it's actually really good and really well written, and it like keeps my attention. It's super fun. Okay, so the first book is obviously called From Blood and Ash. Okay. The second book, this is the Blood and Ash series. Okay, so there's two series within this. There's the Blood and Ash series, and then there's the spin-off series, and they're all going to come together at the end. And then we have book 2, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire.
I don't
book
like
3,
that name.
Book 3 is The Crown of Gilded Bones.
Gilded and bones and crowns.
Always used. Book 4, The War of Two Queens. I feel like this title has been used so many times.
It just sounds like Red Queen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was even that Queen series. I don't remember.
Queen of Shadows.
Okay. And then this is what baffled me. Book 5, which is coming out in July, on July 18th, which I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so excited. The title is A Soul of Ash and Blood. It's just a remix of the first book title.
A Kingdom, the series. What is it called? Is it called the series
From
of Blood? From Blood and Ash. A Soul of Ash and Blood. A Soul of
Ash and Blood. What the fuck?
Oh, that's going to be really confusing.
And then the 6th book, which is going to make the spin-off series and this series come together. It's called Visions of Flesh and Blood. Because the spin-off series title is Flesh and Fire. So we have Blood and Ash, what? Flesh and Fire.
Flesh and Fire is the name of the second book you said, right?
Hold on.
In the original series,
The second, yeah, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. So it's already been used.
Yeah, Flesh and Fire does sound gross. It does sound like cannibalism. Like that's where my brain goes.
Okay, so in the Flesh and Fire spin-off series, and all of these book covers look the same.
I guess
book 1 in...
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I guess Flesh and Fire could be like a burning passion fire, not literal cannibalism fire.
So the book series involves these like gods who are like kind of like vampires, but not like, think like Greek mythology. And so the spin-off series is set like 2,000 years before, but it has something to do with like the original from Blood and Ash. Okay, so the first book is called A Shadow in the Ember.
Oh no. These ones really hurt me. Like an ember in the ashes. And then the Ember in the Ashes series has like a shadow. I need to get those. Ember.
Well, I just want to know what is a shadow in the ember? Like the ember is that little like thing that just
know.
Is that little like spark that comes from like a bonfire, right?
An ember,
and then,
yeah, it's like that little ember that burns out really quick. Like there can't be a shadow in it. But like
it's so tiny.
It's a metaphor, I guess she's trying to say, where like Katie said they were really just throwing darts. They really were. But it's a metaphor, I guess, for there to be like an ember of light, but there's like a shadow in it, like a darkness in the ember of light, which is again, this is like an ember in the ashes, a torch against the night, the sky beyond the storm. Like it really takes the same thing that Saba did. I feel like.
Okay, so book 2. This one's even stupider. A Light in the Flame.
Oh God! There is already light in the flame.
There's already light.
The flame is light.
Shadow in the flame. Light in the flame.
No, that's very bad. It's very bad.
Okay, so book 3. So book 5 is coming out from the other series in July 18th. Book 3 in the spin-off series is coming October 31st in the same year, and it's called A Fire in the Flesh.
No, you already said
the
that
same
title.
thing.
Wait, what do you mean? You already had fires in the flesh.
Yeah, well, because the series is called Flesh and Fire, and so now
But
she's
what about
finally
the
using
second
it.
book was called like A Crown of Flesh and Fire?
Yeah, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, second book in the first series.
Lara said sometimes I feel like they want the readers to mix them up, and so with the other books, so they all get bought. And IDK, if it's just dumb, there's probably not even a good reason. I mean, like that could be a marketing strategy. Like if you don't know which one's which, you end up.
I don't know which
more.
book is which though.
Yeah,
like
well,
they all just
I
go
already
together.
forgot what you said. Flesh and Fire again. Like it's just they're all called Flesh and Fire, Fire, Flesh, Fire, Fire, Flesh, Flesh, Fires.
A fire in the flesh.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, and then then the 6th and last book to both these series, Visions of Flesh and Blood. So it's taking them and putting them all together. That one's coming out February 20th, 2024. So she basically has 3 books coming out in less than a year.
Like she's got to be laughing as she names these titles. Like I can't. They are a parody of themselves. Like it's not even like you have to reach to be like this is funny. It's just funny.
Well, Jennifer L. Armentrout herself as a writer has gotten so much success from writing series similar to other book series that are also very popular. So like her Half-Blood series is very much like Vampire Academy. That was like her first series that she, I think, published.
I thought it was the Alien series.
No, the Alien series came next, and that one was very much like Twilight.
Yeah.
And
wait,
then
what is
now
that called? Why am I blanking on that? Topaz. Opal. No,
Obsidian.
Opal is book 3. Obsidian.
Lux
It was
series.
the Lux series shots, yes.
So yeah, it was a more like sexy version of Twilight with aliens instead of vampires. And now this series is her adult series, and it's
this is an adult series. I see it in the YA section literally every time I go to the bookstore.
Oh no, it's not. It's not. In the first book they have sex a lot.
Well,
But this is like her like Sarah J. Maas, I guess. Counterpart. I don't know.
I see what you're saying. All right. We're going to move on into what right now? Natasha, what are you reading right now other than Blood and Ash and Flesh and Crowns and Fire?
I have not even started the new book yet, but I just finished Twisted Love by Anna Huang, and this book feels like a Wattpad story to me. Like, it feels like something that I would have read when I was 18 years old and like as a fan fiction, and I would have loved. But I did finish it, and it was like I wanted to get to the end because it actually did keep my attention. And it moved fast, but it was just, it was mid. It was not very good. I will not be finishing out the series. Christine, why don't you go?
I've felt so lost in my reading life. I just started The Future King by Robin Schneider because I was like, maybe I just need to mix it up and read something other than like straight up romance rom-coms because I can't get into one right now. It's like my brain just wants the ones I already know are really good, or I want something equally as good and I don't have a rec. If anyone has a rec for a really great rom-com audiobook, please hit me with it. But yeah, so I started The Future King because I really want to read that. I just it's been a while since I read The Other Merlin, so I need to let my brain sink back into that story because this is a sequel. But I'm sure it's going to be great because I really love The Other Merlin. It was so fun. I finally watched Heartstopper and I ate it up in about a day and a half. It was so good. It was like the cutest thing I've ever seen. Also, Orla Garland, who is in Dodie's band a lot of the time, but also has her own music. Her song is at the end of one of the episodes, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I was like, wait a minute, I know this song. Wait a minute, this is Orla's song. And I just got so excited. It has really great music. It's absolutely adorable. The new season is coming out right before my birthday on August 3rd. So I'm so ready. And I just love how much kindness is packed into this series. Like, there are so many moments where they could go angst and they could go the annoying route where, like, one of the leads does something stupid, but he always chooses kindness. And it's so sweet and so wonderful to watch. Just got all the warm fuzzies the whole time. There's only 8 episodes and they go so fast.
Oh, I need to watch that. As soon as you said you watched it, I was like, I gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's so cute. What did you watch?
I rewatched The Summer I Turned Pretty again, getting ready for season 2. I'm very excited.
Nice.
And also watched the second to last episode of Silo. I thought it was the season finale, but the season finale is coming this week.
Yeah.
So it's so good.
Apple actually tweeted out the entire pilot episode on Twitter.
What?
Like, Twitter has new, I guess, parameters for people who have like a gold check mark. You can put up an endless video, and someone who's on the writer's strike retweeted it and was like, so what do the residuals look like for this tweet? Because there was already 500,000 watches of the pilot episode, and it's just chilling for free on Twitter. And I do think it's a good marketing ploy because people are going to see the pilot now of the first season and go watch. But it is a good point in terms of, like, what does this mean for the future? Like, if Apple's just going to tweet out full episodes of things, you know? Mm-hmm. So movie-wise, I watched No Hard Feelings this week, the new movie with Jennifer Lawrence, and it was just such a treat to see her shine in a comedic way on the big screen. Like, it was very funny. It's not like I don't want to watch it again funny, you know? Like, it's not like sweet rom-com funny. It's like, that was fun and unexpected because I haven't watched any trailers, and I would highly recommend going into it like just watching nothing because I bet they spoil a lot of like the funny parts. So it was a fun time.
Anything like from it yet, but I like, you saw it, like my friends Dakota and Kirsten saw it. I want to go. I mean, I don't think I'm going to go see it. I think I'll probably have to wait.
It was really nice to see her back up on the screen. It's been a while. What did you watch this week in the movies?
Well, I didn't really want to watch this, but I did watch Evil Dead Rise My cousins were over and Alex just ended up playing Evil Dead Rise like 11 p.m. at night. And my cousin Miley and I just sat there. We're like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch this. And it's like not that scary. It's just like kind of just dumb. Like they're supposed to be, I don't know. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it's definitely not supposed to be like, it doesn't take itself too seriously. And it's like kind of just a little dumb. But if you like horror movies, I don't even think you'll like this, in my opinion. Maybe you will if you like the Evil Dead series and you like the weird, dumb shit that happens in it.
All right, a rave review from Natasha. Before we move into our main discussion, I am going to take a second. We want to thank all of you listening out there. We really appreciate you being here with us. We would love it if you haven't yet, if you follow the podcast in your favorite listening app for free, so you never miss an episode. If you like the visual version, if you're watching on YouTube, hello, it's youtube.com/@thosworkingfangirls. You could subscribe for free so you never miss an episode. And you can comment to help support the show. That's really helpful. Hit the like button on YouTube. Rate the show if you like it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review if you really like the show. It just all is very, very helpful. And if you want to support the show in a bigger way, we have a Patreon. The link is in the show notes. It's patreon.com/thoseworkingfangirls. We've got a lot of fun perks. Our big perk that's every single week is at the $5 level. We do an extra half an hour show called Fangirl Tea Time, where we dive deeper into personal stories and deeper topics. It's really nice, close-knit little community over there. We love it so much. And then, of course, we have other perks at the $10 and $15 levels where you can explore on our Patreon page. It's a fun time over there.
So fun. We love talking to everyone in the chat, too.
Yeah, thank you so much for all your support in any way, shape, or form. Sharing the show, telling a friend about the show. It all goes a long way, and we really, really appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. Our main discussion. I am so excited to talk about Pixar today because it holds a really fond place in my heart. I've enjoyed Pixar films for so long. I did a little bit of research on Pixar for this episode so that I could give a smidge of background. So Pixar started in 1979. It was created as part of Lucasfilms. It was their computer division. And then in 1986, Steve Jobs purchased it from Lucasfilms. Yes. All right. And before they made films, Pixar was making commercials. So they worked with like Tropicana. They did a little animated commercial for Listerine, where like Listerine was a boxer in the ring and defeating germs. And so their first film didn't debut until about 10 years after Steve Jobs bought the company. So he bought it in 1986, and Toy Story came out in 1995. And I think it's just really insane to think that we've been around for this company's entire film catalog. Like,
yeah,
baffling. We've been alive for all of it. Like, imagine being like alive for all of Disney's catalog. Like, I can't even begin to think.
I don't think there's anyone even alive now, because I think Snow White came out in the 30s.
1939.
Oh, I guess my grandpa was born then.
Yeah, they could be still. But yeah, so when we're old, we're going to be like, we were around for the first Pixar movie, Toy Story, a classic.
Classic.
I wanted to open up with talking about Toy Story, okay? This is the first Pixar film. It was the first animated film ever to be nominated under the Best Screenplay category at the Oscars, which is really cool. What memories do you have from watching this first Pixar film? It was the first like computer animated film.
Well, it came out in 1995, so I was 1 year old. So I don't think we went to the theaters to see it, but it was definitely like a huge film, for my brother and I, because we both liked different characters. And I feel like, you know, I had the Disney princesses, but he had like Toy Story. So like that was his favorite thing. I remember playing with all the different toys. Like we had Mr. Potato Head and Mrs. Potato Head, and like would put on like different things on their on their. Did you have any of the toys, or do you remember any of that?
My brother and my sister had Jesse and Woody and Buzz. Paul had Buzz Lightyear. He also had the race car. We had like Potato Heads, but it was before Potato Head. Like we just had those toys. Okay. We had Slink the dog eventually.
Yeah, we had Slink.
Didn't love Toy Story.
Me either.
So I didn't want any of those toys. But I do remember going to the theater, and Olivia was really small. She's a little older than you, but she was there. It was me and Olivia and my dad. And my dad loved it. I was scared by the kid next door. I thought he was horrifying. And the idea of Sid, yes. And his toys were really scary looking. And I was reading they were going to make those toys, but then decided against it because they were too scary.
That's interesting.
People couldn't buy those toys. I also read, so Woody originally was going to be a ventriloquist dummy, not a cowboy. But because those are so often associated with like horror films, they switched it out. So that he'd be a cowboy instead of a ventriloquist dummy. Because Goosebumps really, I think, made ventriloquist dummies into horror film icons.
Mm-hmm. Well, then we wouldn't have gotten all like the iconic, like, there's a snake in my boot.
I know. Some of the most quotable lines there. To infinity and beyond. Like, just think that all the time.
Yeah. I think, like, I remember distinctly not loving the first Toy Story. I did like the second Toy Story because we had Jessie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was obsessed with her.
So Sam just said, I enjoy the scene where Woody gets polished up like the creepy doll professional man. That scene scared me. That man scared me.
I liked that scene.
Honestly, I was always a little uncomfortable watching Toy Story movies. I don't know what it was. Maybe I just like, it scared me that the toys came alive when I left the room. And of course, I want to believe that's true. And of course, I'm 6 years old. So I'm like, that's a possibility. Like, what are they doing? What are they saying about me? What are they doing when I close my eyes? It's kind of reminding me of like you with Santa Claus being afraid of him in your room. Like, I'm afraid of the toys like coming to life. Like, they really scare me. Because at that same time, I did know about the Goosebumps doll. Like, that scared the shit out of me. I remember when I was 6 years old, I had the Goosebumps box set because I love to read. So I got that for Christmas. And the only one I tried to read was that dummy one. And it was so scary.
Okay, everyone in the chat is agreeing with you. They said, anyone else watch Toy Story and try to catch their toys moving?
Yes.
That's what Katie said. And then Laura said it didn't seem enchanting and magical, but spooky.
Yeah. It was like an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but like less intense. And again, it was really geared toward boys. Of course it was, because everything that comes first is geared toward boys. And I like, of course we could enjoy it, but like there was no girl character to latch onto. Bo Peep wasn't great at all. She was just there. Yeah. I didn't love her. So I actually read that they did want to have Barbie in that first movie as like his lead love interest, as Woody's love interest, but Barbie, Mattel didn't think that the movie would be a success, so they said no. And then come the second movie, they were like, oh, okay, you can have her now.
What is her like? I'm Daylight Barbie.
Barbie and Ken are just like kind of background characters in the second one. All right. Yeah. So the second Pixar movie was A Bug's Life in 1998. And this came out around the same time as DreamWorks released Ants. So it was like this battle of the bug movies for children.
Yes.
It was so weird, but everyone took sides. Like, everyone was like, Bugs Life or ants? What kind of person are you? And I was strictly team ants. I thought it was a way better movie than A Bug's Life as an 8-year-old and a 7-8-year-old, depending when this came out. I don't know. But felt very strongly about it, I remember. What about you?
That's so funny because, well, you were 8, I was 4. So but I did see it. I don't think I had much of an opinion on it. I think like later on, I did end up liking ants, and Alex and I were talking about this because so Bug's Life is like a cuter film. Like there's much just like fun bits around it. And then ants, I feel like is a better story for adults. So it's way more interesting to watch
such an adult 8-year-old.
You were. Oh my gosh. And so I don't remember. I think I remember liking ants later on, but like I just didn't really care for either, to be honest. I do have a lot of memories associated though with A Bug's Land. So Disney California Adventure had a whole section in the park, and this was built in 2002. So in 2002 I was in 2nd grade, so I think I was 7 or 8, and it was mainly like the kiddie side for California Adventure. And it's gone now. Okay, so it's Avengers Campus. So they got rid of it for Avengers Campus. But I was terrified. They had this show. This is my like big memory associated with Bug's Life. They had this like interactive show, which was kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And they would spray different like smells at the audience, and there was like wind and water, and then there was this really terrifying, like horrifying thing that would happen. Like there was a section with the bees, and then there was a pointy thing that would pick like sting you in the back of the seat. What? And I was yes, and it didn't hurt. I was just like 8 years old, and I didn't know. My mother was freaking out. She's like, "What just hit me? What just poked me?" And yeah, we never did that show again. But yeah, it was a like interactive show, and
I wonder if before it was A Bug's Life, it was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
No, it wasn't. Area. So Honey, I Shrunk the Kid was
they had that at Disney
World.
They had it too. I remember going through it, and I did not like it.
No, I remember like there's like rats that went along your feet or something, and it was just air or I don't know. We walked out of it because my mom also did not like that as that. But yeah, it was, since California Adventure was new, it was like the new section, so it wasn't anything before.
Interesting. Yeah, that section was so ugly at Disney World too, because it was a bunch of just brown stuff that was really big. That was supposed to be like the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, like garbage in the grass sort of a deal. It was gross. All right, so let's move into our favorites now, because there's so many excellent Pixar films, but I want to know which, like, if you could pick 3 that had an impact on you, which were they, and what do you remember thinking the first time you watched them? Why did they connect with you so much? You want to start us off here? One of your favorites.
I mean, I will say my first favorite because we have the same one. But Ratatouille is probably one of my. This was hard for me because I had to take out WALL-E. So WALL-E's number 4, Ratatouille is like number 3. And this one came out when we were, I think, in like middle school. I was
older.
In middle school.
I was older.
Well, and you have a list here where they all came out.
Yeah,
it came out in 2007, so I was in 7th grade, and I love like the romance bit of this with like the main like chef dude, and Remy was just like so smart, and I just loved seeing his creations. So that was, I think, my favorite bit from I think the movie was just watching this like little crazy rat and like the human interacting, making all these foods and dishes and defying everything. And I love the vibes. I think I love the vibes of Ratatouille because
like the Paris vibes.
The Paris vibes, yeah, and the music.
While we're on Ratatouille. I feel like I guess I should just talk about it too. Okay, just like something I learned while I was looking this up. Rat sales, rats as pets, shot up 50% following the release of this film. Ew. So I was 16, 17 when this came out, and I was so disgusted by the idea of a rat being around food. I hate movies where rats or mice are the main characters. I can't do it. So
you just don't like Mickey Mouse then?
Well, Mickey Mouse doesn't look like a rat, to be fair, like at all. I would never guess he's a mouse. He's humanoid. Like, he's tall and he looks like a human. But Ratatouille looks like a rat, and he lives with a bunch of fucking rats in the sewers, and then he goes and helps cook meals that get delivered to people at a restaurant. And it was just like a nightmare, like seeing the commercial for it. I was like, oh, I can't. Why would they put a rat in the kitchen?
He's rising above. Like, he's not. It's like such a metaphor.
Disease.
Okay, but it's such a metaphor because like the other rats like bring him down. Like, they want him to go steal stuff, and then he gets in trouble, and so he's rising above. Anyways, obviously there's metaphors for literally everything in a Pixar film.
Yes. So I know there's deeper metaphors there, but like I can't get past the aesthetic of a rat in the food. Like, I can't do it. The germaphobe in me can't do it.
I want to ride the Ratatouille ride.
There's a Ratatouille ride?
Yes, it's new.
Sam says he washes his hands, but Sam, he still has fur that's full of like the gunk of the garbage. He didn't take a full-blown radiation shower like in Monsters, Inc. Like, that's what he needs, but I still wouldn't want him near my food. He carries the Black Plague.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So my favorite, I guess, like, this is hard. I have two favorites, so I guess I'll just say the one that me and Natasha share here. My first love, if we go chronologically, is Finding Nemo, which came out in 2003. I was 12, and I'll just never forget watching it in the theater because it brought me so much joy. Like, I was just bubbling over laughing. I was with my whole family. I do. Yeah, if I had to pick something that I quote the most out of Pixar movies, it is most definitely Finding Nemo. Like, I touch the butt. Like, I think about I touch the butt all the time. Just keep swimming. Iconic. Yeah. Like, Dory is iconic. It's also like, if I had to pick a character that I feel like I connected to the most, it was Dory and her like random ass humor. Like, she was just so whimsical and all over the place. And like Escape, like that scene had me cackling. Like, it was so funny. And like her kinship, like I don't eat fish. Like, I find it gross to eat fish. And the fish are friends, not food, with the sharks.
Are friends, not food.
I loved that so much. I thought it was so funny and clever that they're like fish addicts and they're trying to be like vegetarian sharks.
Katie just quoted mine. And I thought that was so clever because it sounds just like them, like the seagulls, and they're just saying mine. Mine.
Me and Paul used to do it all the time.
Yes.
And like, yeah, the seagulls always want your food. So it's so accurate and clever. Like, the whole movie was so clever. Like, the speaking whale, like the idea, Dory is just constantly underestimated, but she's smart. She's just like a little loopy. Like, and her ideas always work out, and I love that aspect of her, like, always having a way to, like, an idea that works to get them out of things. She's always the one that figures out how to move forward, because Merlin's just always freaking out. Like, and she's like, wait, Escape, or she's like, wait, I could speak whale, and he's like, you can't speak whale, but she can. And it's so funny when she does. Oh my god, the shark bite. Ooh, ha, ha. It's also iconic.
So, my favorite bit, I don't remember which fireworks show that this was, but at Disneyland, I think it was for the 60th, they turned not the monorail, what's the big mountain thing?
The roller coaster mountain?
Yeah, what is it called?
The Matterhorn?
Matterhorn.
Okay.
They turned the Matterhorn into like the volcano, and then during the fireworks show, there's like shark big ooh ha ha, shark big ooh ha ha, and then they had like the projections, and it looks like there was like smoke coming out of it. Anyways, I love
Oh
that.
my gosh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everything was hilarious and encouraging and like overall kind in that film too, and like just the comedy was so top notch. I don't know how many times I spoke whale and like how hard I laughed while she was speaking whale that first time. It was so good.
My favorite bit is when she goes like, "And you will be my squishy," and then like the squishy stings
And then there's
her,
like
and
a
she goes,
million.
"Bad squishy, bad, bad."
There's all the jellyfish. Oh, Katie says, "Oh, you guys made me ink." And what about Squirt? Dude, tubular.
Well, Squirt is his son, and
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Crush.
But like, I love Crush's voice. They're so cool, those turtles. But yeah, what a great film.
Yeah, it's my favorite, too.
Righteous. Oh yeah, P. Sherman 42 WA Sydney. P. Sherman 42 WA Sydney. Like that's iconic too. I just like rattle off that address sometimes when it comes into my head. And oh my gosh, my favorite part when they're like going down into the dark and Merlin starts talking to Dory and she's like, "Are you my conscience?" And he's like, "I'm Merlin." She's like, "Yeah, but are you my conscience or whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'm your conscience."
Do you feel like Finding Nemo is like the funniest Pixar movie?
I think it might be tied. There's two other movies that I think are really, really funny. My other favorite is Up, and I think that one's hilarious. And then my other favorite is this actually didn't make my favorite list, but I laughed really, really hard watching The Incredibles 2. Like there was some prime comedy in there with Jack and the cookies.
Good Jack.
Yeah, and him babysitting. Like I just remember dying. But what do you think is the funniest Pixar film?
I think it's Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
It
was just
I laughed with most.
So clever. So good. What else is on your favorites? Top 3.
I have Incredibles. Like this one was also just so fun and so I feel different because we followed more humans than we did all humans, than like animal characters or robots or things like that. And
or something strange,
yeah, and it was in between that like nice spot from we grew up kind of with like the Batman movies, and Alex and I were like obsessed with Batman and Robin, and then it came out right before Marvel started its huge thing.
Yeah, it was 2004.
Yeah,
so it was like 4 years before Marvel. It's around the end of Spider-Man.
We had some Spider-Man and some Fantastic Four in there, but the vibes in this are incredible because it's like the 1950s, 60s like spy type of vibes, but they're also superheroes, and I just love it's so clever because like the family aspect of it. It's like they're retired, but they're also all have superpowers. And Edna Mode is one of my favorite characters. Like if I were to pick one, like she would just be one of my favorites. She's also a vibe, but she's also iconic.
And the score.
Oh,
dun,
and the score.
Dun, dun,
yeah.
Dun. It was like a play on like James Bond-ish score.
Or like Mission Impossible.
Or Mission Impossible. Yeah, that's what it was playing on. There we go.
Or like No Capes. We were pretty young.
That joke was very funny.
Yeah. And that, like, we would just say that all the time in school because everyone obviously had watched it. And we would, like, be like, who do you want to be? I don't know. Or like Elastigirl, and like Elastigirl was so fucking cool.
Invisible Sister was the coolest. Violet,
Yeah.
yes. With her hair. It was just like the coolest thing when a cartoon had hair where they could go like blow it out of their face.
Oh yeah.
Like Ariel does it, The Little Mermaid. Like I always wanted to do that. And then Debbie from the Wild Thornberrys did it. And then Violet also did it. It was so shiny. She had amazingly shiny hair, Violet.
Sorry, I was reading. Brooke says my favorite line is probably "I am your wife. I'm the greatest good you are ever gonna get." The greatest good?
He probably said it's for the greater good. And she's like, I'm your wife. I'm the greatest good you're ever going to get. Like, I don't know. I don't remember the exact line. It's been too long since I watched The Incredibles. I love the part where like the plane crashes and the son like runs on water to like make the mom boat go to the island. Do you remember that? I feel like I remember being so empowered by how they all worked together. And I think Violet like put a force field around them. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're alive, but we're dead. What an iconic quote, Gabby. But yeah, that was definitely, I was reading that was the first time they animated humans. So they like studied humans, real humans walking so that they could get the walks right in the animation, which is really interesting.
Yeah. I think it's like, if I think about like my favorite characters or just like most iconic, obviously Dory is voiced by Ellen DeGeneres, and then I think Elastigirl is she's Holly Hunter, right? And it's just it's just like just an iconic voice I think used for both of those characters.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah, they did some great casting in the Pixar films. Quality.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen too.
Yes. Did you know that Billy Crystal turned down voicing, I think it was Buzz Lightyear, and he would publicly say that it was the biggest mistake of his career, and then that's why they reached out to him for Monsters, Inc., and he immediately was like, yes, I'll be Mike Wazowski.
Well, I feel like that's a better role for him.
I think it is too.
Know how it, but I'm glad that worked out. That's interesting. I had no idea. Wow, all these little things you pulled out here for the episode.
I know. I spent some time Googling yesterday.
What's another favorite of yours?
Okay, so my next favorite is Up. In 2009, Up came out, and like I had seen no trailers. Maybe I'd seen like a poster, and it looked so fucking weird. It was like the house with a million balloons, or there was like a dog with a shadow in this like barren landscape. It was the weirdest. And so I went with Paul to the movie theater, and we just came out of that movie bursting at the seams with excitement. Like the idea of being able to hear what your dog would say is such a wish fulfillment thing. Like we all want to hear our dogs talk. We all want to hear their voice and what they're actually thinking. And Doug was so funny and so adorable. Like you immediately just project your pet onto them. Yeah, like the squirrel. And they're like, I just met you and I love you. And then all the other dogs have these collars, and they're like the dogs that work for the bad guy. And it was just, they did such great, clever stuff with them. Like the old man has his little walker, and it has the tennis balls on the bottom. So they would like take off a tennis ball and throw it to distract these like dogs that worked for the bad guy. Mm-hmm. It was great. And I really loved the relationship between the little kid and the old man, who was, kind of shut himself off from life. And his wife was all about adventure. And this little kid brought adventure back into his life and like brought him back to a place where he wanted to live his life instead of just staying in his house all the time. And I don't know, it just really also like, it gave me vibes like my papa, and there was this weird bird called Kevin. That was so funny. Yeah, it was just so creative, and I feel like all these weird shit they put out there just came together in the most beautiful way. And that little kid was so funny and so like heartfelt and open and vulnerable all the time. Like, remember when he has to poop? He takes out his shovel and he's like, I've got it covered. And it's like, it's just really funny and cute. Yeah. And I don't think anything tore out my heart as hard as that first montage with the old man and his wife. You. It was done so well. It was so beautiful. Yeah. And then the rest of the movie is like so lighthearted and wonderful and heartwarming. So, yep.
Katie's is my most controversial opinion of all time is that I think the first 10 minutes of Up are wonderful, but the rest of the movie was boring to her.
I feel so different. I reject this.
So this is like later on we're going to talk about this. But I've actually never like fully watched Up because I was so afraid of like being emotionally scarred in those first 10 minutes that I've never really like, I think I've sat and watched it once. I don't remember the rest of the film because I was just like, I can't do this. Because it came out in like a really terrible time in my life. And I was like, I don't want to be like more sad. Yeah. And so I kind of agree with Katie, but I also like I can't even watch the first 10 minutes. Like I'd rather like skip that and just watch the rest of the movie.
It's not that sad. Like they do it in a sweet way. That's sad, but it's not like, I don't know. It's not like watching your favorite character die on a series. I don't know, because you don't know. I don't know. It's really sweet, and
I know I've seen it now, but yeah. I just like I've watched it in spurts, where I was like, I don't know. But when anyone does like the whole Disney bounding of them, or like the two of them, I'm like, yeah, that's cute, but I like also don't understand it.
It's really like the rest of the film is all like cute adorableness. Like it's really makes up for any sadness you feel in the beginning. It's so cute.
Shot said, I think I read once the first 10 minutes were supposed to be a short film.
Interesting. Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying this. Like, I only saw the first few minutes because I started to cry.
Guys, this is ridiculous.
It was too much.
The rest of the movie is so good. The rest of the movie is adorable as fuck. It's like the dogs are so funny. Like they are peak dog comedy.
Well, is it like because the beginning is so emotional, do you feel like people are constantly rewatching it, or do you think like they'll rewatch it like once or twice because it's not something
I went and watched it again at the theater.
Oh.
I thought it was just like a perfect film. I was so in awe of it because I had the lowest expectations. I was like, what is this weird ass shit Pixar's putting out now? But like, I was a Pixar fangirl, so I wasn't gonna miss it.
Yeah, you were definitely like, because I really for a while there did not watch Pixar films. I didn't watch Up in theaters. Like I didn't watch a bunch of them. I think like I stopped really caring. Like I didn't see Brave, I didn't see Monsters University. Like I have not seen a lot of Pixar films until like you wanted to go see Inside Out in 2015. I think it was for your birthday or for Kat's birthday or something.
I think it's my birthday.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that's really good, because I was like, I don't really want to see it, and you're like, let's just go, Pixar's so great. And I was like,
we're seeing Inside Out. Oh my gosh, I forgot that we went together. I saw Inside Out twice in theaters too. It was so fucking good. Should we talk about that? It's because we just opened it up, or wait, do you want to do yours? Okay. My other favorite is Inside Out, and that movie is so clever and so funny and so thought-provoking and well-crafted. Like the way they do the inside of your brain as a child and the inside of your brain in general, like memories, and how they start to fade if you're not like you're not using them. Like there's like the memory balls, like the one of her like playing piano, like it's starting to fade because she doesn't use her piano skills, and like the ones that solidify and become core memories and then like sprout a whole town. Like it is so clever, and the trains of thought and the opinions versus fact, like it's just so fucking good. Like you could just dig into it so far because they thought it out so well. And I did not know this till this week, but Inside Out 2 is coming out next year. I've wanted this since the end. Like I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get Inside Out puberty. I'm so excited for puberty. It's gonna be so funny. And we're gonna get Inside Out puberty. I am pumped as fuck. Like the way that they portrayed crushes too. Like there was that like Justin Bieber character like singing in her head. Do you remember that?
Yes.
In her like fantasy land? Oh, it was just like the way that they put everything that happens in your brain into like a visual context was so well done. Like there's this imaginary friend character, Bing Bong, that just
don't
like,
get me started on Bing Bong.
It's just so beautiful the way that they do that character in this movie. It's just it's like everything everyone can relate to on such a deep, unforgettable level because it's moving out of childhood and into like your teenage childhood. But like the initial throngs of childhood, there's so much that starts to change as you move into your teen years, and it really tackles that in such a beautiful, beautiful way.
Yeah. Katie says, to be honest, I feel like Pixar movies are made for adults, not kids. Like I don't think they would be fun for kids. So that's
why they're so great. They're both. Like kids can enjoy them, but adults see a deeper layers there.
Yeah, Gabby says they have amazing themes, but you don't appreciate it until you're older. And I feel like Inside Out would be like one of those films where you don't necessarily understand everything going on.
And you
like
watch it again.
I mean, honestly, the first 10 minutes of Up is really sad. But fucking when Bing Bong like shoots Joy,
you're spoiling the film.
Literally cannot talk about it because it's just like so sad. And then the way people use Bing Bong like on TikTok when they're talking about like other like pets and like their dog died and they got like a new puppy, and it's just so sad. I can't take it. I'm gonna stop talking about it. It's gonna make me cry.
But like part of what Inside Out is about is that like sadness is not bad. And it's okay to be sad, and you have to have sad moments to appreciate happy moments, and they work in tandem together. And that's really beautiful too. Like Joy coming to terms with the fact that like sadness is not bad, and that you need sadness to feel happiness, and it's okay to be sad sometimes. It's not like it's so fucking good. It's so good. But yeah, that Bing Bong moment is emotional.
I know. Like here is a tear coming down my face. Laura says Inside Out did such a great job at explaining depression and sadness to children. So I would say it is perfect for kids, also for adults, of course.
Yeah.
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 I'm excited for
really good.
Inside Out 2. I really hope, the only thing with Inside Out 2, I hope that they don't like end it where like the person's gonna die. Can you just imagine?
Why would they do that? They're not going to do
that.
They're
Pixar.
Yeah, they're Pixar. The main character doesn't die. What?
You're talking about Up, and I don't think we didn't put this in the doc, but in front of Elemental, every Pixar film, when you go to the theater, they have a short.
Yes, has a short.
In front of Elemental, they have a short with the dog, Doug. Is that his name? Doug and
Doug? Doug, yeah.
With Doug and the guy from Inside Out. I don't know what his name is. Not Inside Out. I'm sorry.
Dad?
From Up. The old guy from Up.
The old man?
Yeah, and it's really sweet. Carl! Thank you.
Oh, is Carl not the kid? Mr. Fredrickson.
Fredrickson. Sorry, Carl is not in it.
Oh,
Sorry.
Russell's the kid. No, Carl must be his first name. Carl
Yes.
Fredrickson, and then Russell is the kid.
Mm-hmm. And it's really cute and also like kind of emotional.
Yeah.
So,
Ugh, I'm excited to see that. I really love the short that was in front of Up. I remember it was like a bunch of storks, and like storks were real in the short. I just remember it being really, really cute. And I remember thinking like, this is my favorite short.
I really liked the lava one. And it was
that was
about,
cute
like,
too, with the two volcanoes.
Really I feel like that was in front of Incredibles 2, I think, because I was dating what's his face at that time.
Yeah.
And then also Bao, which was very surprising.
The dumpling one.
The dumpling one.
I barely remember that one. I remember very vividly being freaked out by the chess one in the front of Toy Story. Like the old man in that one scared me. Again, just like the old man doing the Woody designing. Like he just had a scary demeanor about him for a little kid.
Laura says, I'm curious if they will censor body awkwardness in the period and other sexual themes in Inside Out, too.
I hope not. No, I feel like they're going to go for it. Like,
well, they did it in Turning Red, and it didn't turn out very well for people. They're like, don't see it.
Well, that was Pixar pushing the boundaries, and I think Pixar will continue to push boundaries, especially when they have such a well-loved this is a great movie to do it in because people are going to see it because Inside Out was perfection. So
yeah,
we'll see. But I can't wait to see, like, just having like her crush in front of her is going to be hilarious. Like, it's going to be very funny, whoever is that person in front of her. All right. So did we go over all your faves here?
Yeah.
Did you do your last one?
Yeah, I only had 3.
Oh, what was your third one?
So it was Finding Nemo, Incredibles, and Ratatouille.
Oh, yeah, we've shared Finding Nemo. All right. So building off of our favorite movies, what were the characters, I kind of talked about mine already, from the Pixar universe that you felt the biggest kinship with? Like my second one after Dory would probably be Joy from Inside Out, and how like frustrated she felt with like any sort of sadness until she like accepted that it's part of life and it's still beautiful to experience those emotions.
I love Joy.
What about you?
I said, so Edna is like my favorite icon, but I feel like Wally I have a kinship to. Like, he's just it's so cute, and he's like a little robot, but he finds also so much joy in life, living life alone. And then finally when like a love interest or someone comes into his life, he's like, oh my gosh,
Eve.
wait, life, like, yeah, Eve, life could be even better, like I'm gonna follow her. Ugh. I love him. He's so cute. I love Wally. And Wally is one of my favorites. I think it is very interesting because you don't have any dialogue. You're just watching this little robot express so much emotion with his little robot body. And it's just incredible. And like the journey that they go through. I love it. And he was like, Wally!
I've got a fun fact about Wally, that the actor that played R2-D2 also played Wally, which is just like the nichest typecast of all time. Like, and he created like, I forget the number, it was like 2,000 noises for Wall-E for this movie, which is insane.
Wow.
And yeah, I guess you already talked about your other character that you feel a kinship to, Edna Mode, of course.
Well, also Wally loves Hello Dolly, and I love Hello Dolly. And I don't know if people know this, but like Hello Dolly, the music from the movie plays on Main Street all the time. So it's one of the few songs they're on loops. So Disney has always had the rights to Hello Dolly. So I just love that. I love that little fun fact too.
Nice. All right. On the flip side of that, are there any Pixar films that freaked you out? So you kind of talked about Up. You haven't watched it yet still. But like, was there any other ones that freaked you out? You like didn't want to see them. You had to force yourself to watch it. And what was it about them that kind of freaked you out?
Okay. Well, like I said, I have not seen a lot of Pixar. I still haven't seen Monsters University. I haven't.
That was
I don't
so
think I've.
fun.
Yeah, it came out within that time where I was like,
Oh.
no. I never really watched Brave until I was older because again, it came out in that weird time in my life. I was really against. I knew I did not want to watch The Good Dinosaur. Like I knew I was not going to like that.
That one sucked. Brave wasn't that great either.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But I already talked about this, but I didn't want to watch Up because of the emotional aspect. But also, I have not seen Toy Story 3 or Toy Story 4. And because I didn't like the first Toy Story, and I only liked Jessie in Toy Story 2 and I was a kid. And so Toy Story 3, I was like,
that was kind of like iconic in terms of Pixar films.
Toy Story 3?
Mm-hmm. Like it was intense, but it was really like they went there, and I commend them for it.
Yeah.
But
so those would be the ones I still need to watch. And then I'm like, nah, I don't want to.
Yeah. So as I said, I was a Pixar fangirl, and the first movie to trip me up was WALL-E. Well, actually, okay, Ratatouille, but I saw it anyway. I didn't want to see Ratatouille. It freaked me out, but I watched it anyway because everyone was like, oh my God, Ratatouille. I was like, ugh, I have to know what Ratatouille is about. But WALL-E, I remember Paul wanted to go see it, and we were going to go see it, me, my mom, and Paul. And I was just like, there's no dialogue. Like, there's no talking. Like, I don't want to see this. And I did. And, of course, it ended up being beautiful. I still don't love it because the no dialogue thing still and the space thing really depresses me. Like, the way, like, society's kind of collapsed is really sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah. But Wally and Eve were very cute. And I have another fun fact that the guy who designed Eve for the film also designed the iPod. Okay, so it was Apple's senior vice president of industrial design, Jonathan Ive. He co-designed Eve, which is
That's
random.
So cool.
It's very cool. They do look like cousins. Are you talking about the iPod and Eve? Oh my gosh, that's really funny. So other than that, Toy Story 3, there was like an element to it that freaked me out, and it was that bear. Like there's this evil bear, and he really scared me. Like I was the full adult watching this movie. I was like in my early 20s, and I was just like, I don't like him. I don't like him. He kind of reminded me of David Tennant in
that
Jessica
dirty
Jones.
ass bear.
David
you
Tennant
hate that
and Jessica
character.
Jones. Oh, he scared the shit out of me. And like this bear just scared the shit out of me. Like he was like savage. And he looked so cute at first.
Isn't this the one where they go to hell or something?
No, they don't go to hell. Do you want me to tell you what happens?
No, I'll watch it.
Are you going to watch it? I can't believe you haven't been spoiled. There's no hell. It takes place on Earth.
I don't know. Like I've only seen snippets of it because it's been in fireworks shows at Disneyland, and it's like Woody and it's really emotional part of the fireworks show where like Woody is trying to get Buzz. Someone's dying, and it looks.
I'm
like
going to
hell.
tell you.
Okay.
All right. The bear and his minions throw all our original toys in the fucking incinerator, and they're about to be burned. And they all hold hands and like reach out because they're gonna die. That's really
terrifying.
Sick.
No. Yeah. Are you crying?
Yeah, I just like relived it. Sorry. No, it's okay. It's insane. And I remember like there were like not memes, there were videos where people like showed that scene to their parents, and their parents were like, and they wouldn't show the end of the scene because they don't actually die, but like they are going to die for like a solid, like you think it's gonna happen, and it's so upsetting. But like they all like band together, like, and they're like, well, at least we're together, and it's like it's very upsetting, but like also they really did that.
That's the only reason why I don't like Toy Story, because it's like, it's so sad that like you grow, like as a kid, like you grow up and then you forget all these things, and it's like they're left behind.
It's another like hit in the childhood gut, like where it's saying goodbye to your childhood and moving forward. But they have a really beautiful end where they should have ended the series. I don't know why. I know why, money, but like they had a really beautiful end where he passes the toys on to, like, I feel like it's a neighbor or a cousin or something, and that little kid is so excited to play with the toys. It's really, really sweet.
Oh, Bonnie.
Yeah. All right. So, what is the Pixar film that's the worst, in your opinion?
I'm very interested to hear your thought. Okay, so fucking Lightyear.
Katie, you're just waiting for us to say Cars. I'm going to say it. I'm sorry.
No. Have you seen Lightyear, Christine?
No. To be fair, I have not seen Lightyear.
Damn. Okay, so this came out last year. I was excited for it. Obviously, Chris Evans was going to play like the real Buzz Lightyear. It just it was not needed. It really truly was not needed. They really are just trying to milk the Toy Story element. They're like, we can't do another Toy Story, so why don't we just do like a beginning story? What is it called?
Prequel.
Like a prequel type of thing. And it was not needed. It honestly didn't really keep my attention. There wasn't really any like good. All it was Buzz trying to get off this planet. That was basically the whole premise of the story. But yeah, I in my opinion, I don't think Lightyear was needed. I think the big selling point was Chris Evans for me. They're truly like nothing really spoke to my heartstrings. And there wasn't really any underlying metaphors.
Katie says they were like, we'll save our queer representation for the most fringe movie. Is that Luca?
No, I think she's talking about Lightyear. I'm not sure. I was trying to think. I think one of the like captains, like the side characters, was queer, but I'm not quite sure.
All right. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't see Lightyear because everyone said it was boring on the internet. So I was like, all right, I guess I won't watch it. My least favorite to watch was probably The Good Dinosaur. I forgot that I like skipped Cars. Okay, Cars doesn't make sense. And I know it's not about making sense, but like I can't wrap my head around it. Like it makes less and less sense as it goes along. Like, how do cars give birth? Like I just like there's so much. It's been so long since I watched Cars and got really mad about like this doesn't make any sense.
Oh my gosh.
Like it doesn't make sense. It like how did they evolve? How do they grow? They're made of metal. Like it doesn't make sense. Like I can't do it. So the first Cars was like I watched it because someone was like, you have to watch it, and then I went to their house and watched it with them, and I was like, whatever, I'm underwhelmed. It was the first Pixar movie that I was underwhelmed by, but the fucking balloon house was fine. Yes, Katie, that balloon house ran on hope. Hope is the thing with feathers. Cars is just Cars.
Cars, oh my gosh.
This also probably stems from like I don't care about actual cars much either. Like,
yeah. So like Cars is great. Listen,
Cars is
I
for little kids. Like how we're
For
saying these are
sure.
for adults and kids.
Yeah.
This one was just for kids.
Yeah, like the Baziga, Rajiga, or like Lightning McQueen. Okay, obviously I like Cars now because my nephew Bodie is obsessed with Cars. He is a Lightning McQueen stan. He freaked out when he saw him at Disneyland. And also like I love Cars Land. It is so aesthetic. It is like the perfect place. Okay. But I don't know. Like
Katie
that's my
says-
only.
The soundtrack, though, sorry, and I'm just like, Katie.
What
the
soundtrack?
Up soundtrack is iconic. Do 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 do.
So I think she's talking about like the actual songs associated with Cars.
I know, but I'm just saying the Up soundtrack was better than the Cars soundtrack.
Yeah, well, it's definitely probably the most memorable now.
Up
'cause
or
everyone uses
Cars?
it. Up. 'Cause
Yeah.
everyone uses it on like TikTok and Reels
Because
now.
just that song can bring me to tears.
Yes. Yes. Also the soundtrack from Inside Out too.
Sorry, I got weirdly competitive about Up. I'm gonna take it down a notch.
But I do agree. I don't think I'll ever like watch Cars unless I'm going to watch it with one of my younger nieces or nephews. Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah. I was almost 16 when Cars came out, so I was like way past the Cars
Yeah.
demo because it didn't expand to an older audience that much. I'm sorry, Katie. I'm really sorry. I got really mean. I apologize.
It's fine.
All right. I want to move on to is there a recent Pixar film that you think has been underrated? Because I don't think people talk about Pixar as much nowadays. We don't all go we don't all run to the theater like we used to because it's just getting more like it's just there. You know, it's not like
I think
a
because-
huge deal because movies aren't a huge deal anymore. Go ahead.
Well, that, and I think because there's so much competition, there's so much good competition when it comes to this, like it's not even Pixar in the way that Disney is now animating their films is so similar, like with the style. So there's not really a difference between the style of like Disney animated and now Pixar animated.
But there is a difference in like creativity, I feel like a lot of the time. It's
Yes.
Like Pixar's on another level.
Yeah. So I would say so I really enjoyed Turning Red. It could have been like a Disney animated film, honestly, because we're following
That's what I thought it was.
we're following humans. But Elemental, which just came out, I think is like Pixar coming back to their roots. Like it is I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to spoil it. But there's so many underlying themes and issues within the whole saga, and everyone's like, oh, it's just like a new Zootopia. No one fucking knows what this movie is about because it wasn't marketed well, and that's I think what Disney is doing poorly when they're when the new Pixar film's coming out. They're not marketing it to the right people. Like Elemental should be marketed to more adults. It should be marketed to young adults because it is like a romance story. Yeah. But there's also another portion of the story that is not even being talked about and no one knows what it is. And I'm not going to talk about it because I think it was interesting for me to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so those two. I really liked Elemental because it was honestly like one of the first Pixar films that was like a love story. And it was so fun to watch that and to see these different types of elements and how they can come together and work together. It's like fire and water. Like, what the fuck? They're not supposed to love each other. So, yeah.
My most underrated is Onward. I had so much fun with that movie. I laughed. It was funny. There was great chemistry between Tom Holland's character and Chris Pratt's character, the brothers. There was some really great sibling moments like that were really beautiful. I laughed, I cried. There's a lot of good family moments, and there's like a stepdad character who's really great. It really was so lovely. Yeah, Katie, hardcore agree. And it came out in 2020. It was the first movie that came on streaming while we were starved for content during the pandemic. And it really delivered, which was it was so needed in that time. Like, I just remember being so excited to sit down and watch something new on TV, because there were no movies. And it was just, Gabby says, I haven't watched Onward because I was afraid it would make me too sad. I don't think so. Like, it has its, like, obviously emotional moments, but it's really fun.
So if you think about it, it came out in 2020. So this was a really hard movie for Alex and I to watch because it was a couple months after my mom died. And like, if you have someone close to you that passed away, because it's all about trying to bring that person back, it was rough for us to watch, but like, we still enjoyed it. But it was extreme. It wasn't as sad. It's not like, it's not going to make you cry like fucking Bing Bong and Up, but it's a rough movie because they're trying to accept the grief and all that.
Yeah, their father has passed. It does have a lot of comedy too.
It does.
And if you like D&D, like, it's a really fun, like, they play on D&D stuff too, which is fun.
It has like Stranger Things vibes-ish.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So, yeah, I forgot about that aspect of it. I'm like, I really remember more of the sibling aspect of it, I guess. I've only seen it once, though. I have to watch it again. Yeah, but no one really talks about that movie. It kind of, like, everyone had low expectations for it because it had a really, like, high octane cast. And they were like, ugh, this, like, Tom Holland cash grab movie. And then it was really good. So, yeah.
Well, and Chris Pratt.
And Chris Pratt. Yes. All right. Last question with Pixar here. I just thought this was a fun one. So I wanted to ask you, like, what is a film that isn't Pixar but feels so good it should be? And what would you swap out on the Pixar catalog to replace with the movie that you're going to say that isn't Pixar but feels like it should be?
Okay, well, I first put down Shrek 2, but I feel like Shrek 2 is just, like, out of its league. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, it's like a different sort of vibe, too.
It's like a different vibe. I would say than Ice Age. It felt more like Pixar to me, but again, it is like a different vibe. But I would probably switch out Good Dinosaur.
Yes.
And also, like, Soul wasn't...
Soul?
I didn't love Soul. It was like...
It was very weird, but it was, like, really profound.
Yeah, it was meh. Was Ice Age Disney? No. I think it's Paramount or something.
Yeah, it's old. I saw that in the theater. Encanto did feel very Pixar. Brooke, I agree.
Well, yeah, Encanto felt like Pixar because we had Coco.
Yeah, but also it was just so different in terms of, like. Yeah, but it did have singing, which doesn't feel like Pixar. So Zootopia didn't feel like Pixar to me because it wasn't, like, as deep. I just felt like it was very surface level. It felt more like for kids. And that's why I fell asleep. To me, at least. So for my answer here, I put the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy because it's excellent. The first How to Train Your Dragon and the third How to Train Your Dragon in particular are my favorites. The second's great too, but wow, that third movie, I just remember, like, bawling and laughing and, like, all the emotions. I came out of it, like, in hysterics. And I remember, like, I took a picture because I was, like, so messed up from my tears.
Oh. From How to Train Your Dragon?
Yeah, it was really, really beautiful. And from the very first moment I saw that dragon, like, I put my dog, and it, like, he was my dog. Toothless was Chandler.
I didn't watch How to Train Your Dragon. Like, I just watched it this past year, I think, because I was like, I don't want to watch it. It's an animated film, and I want to watch it. And Alex is like,
Oh my
you have to watch it. It's so good. Toothless is just like Nico.
Yeah, exactly. You put your dog in there, and it's like everything you've ever wanted. It's so cute.
I didn't, but also the music. The thing that got me to watch How to Train Your Dragon was the music. Like, dun, dun,
It's
dun, yeah.
dun 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 dun. Like, I've listened to that soundtrack. Katie said now that's a soundtrack. Yeah, I've listened to that score so many times. I have it on like every writing playlist. It makes me cry. It's so epic. Sam, everyone says Toothless is a cat, but if you also only have a dog, it's a dog.
Well, Nico is basically a cat, so it works.
And like, he does the same things that my dog does too. So like, yeah, it's any derpy animal, Gabby says. All right. So I would replace, oh yeah, I didn't say what I would replace, but like to get all three How to Train Your Dragons in, I'd swap out The Good Dinosaur, Cars 3, and Lightyear. I think most people are willing to part with most of those. Like, Cars 3 was a stretch.
No. Okay, is this like a thing? Okay, was Airplanes ever a movie?
It was like a separate movie from Disney, I feel like.
Oh, I was like, is that like one of those things where you think it's something real, but it isn't? I'm looking this up. Where is it?
I don't fucking know.
Because I literally thought it was like a sequel or like a spin-off series.
Yeah, I think it was, but it wasn't Pixar.
Mandela Effect. I thought this. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wait, what?
I remember seeing a trailer for Just Planes. It was called like Airplanes or something.
Airplanes. Animated movie. Planes. It's called Planes. And it's from Disney.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was Disney. It wasn't Pixar.
Disney Toon Studios. Released by Walt Disney Studios.
Yeah, it was weird. What was I just going to say?
Because it's like literally the same animation.
Yeah, I remember scoffing so hard in the theater when I saw that trailer. I was like, are you shitting me? And then with Cars 3, so my ex-boyfriend John made like a written essay review about how much he hated Cars 3. And all I could think about is that review as he like tore into everything that didn't make absolutely any sense, because I felt like so on the same page as I was reading it. It was very funny. I never saw the movie.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at this whole planes thing.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we're going to move into Marry, Kiss, Cliff.
Okay. We have mommies.
Mommies? Oh, mommies.
Okay, so we have Elastigirl, Mrs. Weasley, and Lorelai Gilmore.
Oh my God. I'm going to marry Lorelai Gilmore if she'll have me and not leave before we get down the aisle. And then Elastigirl, Kiss, and Mrs. Weasley, Cliff. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Weasley.
Oof. Here's the thing. Lorelai and I are way too similar. I would just be marrying myself if I married her. I'd probably marry Elastigirl because she's the best, and she's also Elasta, so she has superpowers. Mrs. Weasley. What Mrs. Weasley? She's badass, and she knits.
She does a lot.
She cooks. I mean,
she's very good at magic.
She's very good at magic, and she's very good at being a mom. But I think I'm gonna kiss Lorelai Gilmore and Cliff, Mrs. Weasley.
Poor Mrs. Weasley spits out like 10 kids. gets clipped. All right. Well, in chapter chat today, we are going to be talking about chapters 3 and 4 of Akamath. We're getting into it. We're getting to the good bit.
I did not write notes, so I will just riff off of you because I did read it, but I didn't write notes.
Okay. Well, in chapter 3, because Feyre has been begging to leave the house, Lucien takes her into town. He's like, you're going to get to help today. Are you excited? And they like get there. And he basically did this just to show her that no one wants her help. They all just want to do it themselves. And we learn that actually all the people, she's like, they weren't under the mountain though, because they don't want to be reminded of what happened. And she's a reminder of it because she saved them, which is such bullshit. And
well, they all kept calling her curse breaker too, like Feyre curse breaker.
Yeah, and she learns from Lucien that they were all held in camps underground without food,
within the mountain.
Within the mountain, where like a lot of times they'd be forced to like attack each other because they weren't being fed, which is really horrible. So,
which I think is why, like Lucian's so irritated at Ianthe for not being around. Like, so you just got to skip out. Cause I'm like, oh, what happened to all of those people from all the court? So like, was literally every single person in the land just kept in those camps? Or was it like certain people?
I don't think Rysand, I think Rysand hid his whole court. So
yes.
But it kind of didn't sound like doable to me because of what we saw of the mountain, but I guess we just didn't see enough of the mountain. I don't know. I was like, where were they? I guess underground somewhere. But Brooke says, if you recall, the winter court hid some people. Vivian wasn't under the mountain. So people got, weaseled away and went to hiding. But I guess the majority were captured under the very big mountain. Like logistically, it was like, how? But we only saw what Feyre saw. So that's all we can go off of here. But anyway, she asks Lucien why he lied about the Naga, and he doesn't really give her an answer. And basically, he's Tamlin's minion, and he'll do whatever Tamlin says. And when she's like upset about being held in the house by Tamlin, he's just like, you know what? You should be happy just to be the bride of a high lord and be able to live the rest of your life out in his house. And isn't that what all human women want? And she's like, ew. And he's like, just give him time. Like he loves you so much, and he heard your neck snap, and he got a second chance that I never got with my girl. Like, it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make her your property. And he's looking at her like he's his thing, and he can't have her out because everyone knows that they can control him by taking her away from him. And it's just, it's all about Tamlin. And we also learned that the Teeth is coming, which is a representative from every family that has land has to come and pay their taxes to Tamlin, and he has to like sit on a throne with Feyre next to him and dole out punishments for people who can't pay their entire teeth. And if they don't pay within like a grace period of 6 days, he has to go hunt them down. Like, what does that mean? Kill them? What do you mean hunt them? What are you gonna do?
And like Lucian's like, you have to sit there and just listen. You cannot interfere.
It's just like, Lucien is such an asshat. Like, he's such a kiss ass. And she's like, well, you went against him before. And he's like, yeah, that was because I was desperate to break the curse. Now we're trying to fix everything. We have a second chance, and we have to do everything that Tamlin says ever. Anyway, So the wedding is coming and people are arriving. Go ahead.
Katie says the spring court is all toxic positivity.
It is. It's all like just ignore all the hurt and the pain and plow forward and it's gonna be fine. So Feyre's still having like PTSD nightmares about Under the Mountain, like, and she wakes up the night before her wedding and like the night air blows in, kind of waking her up from her nightmares, and she says the stars are like frost in the sky. So I really think it's Rysand kind of being aware that she's having a nightmare and waking her up in that moment. Yeah. And that's definitely a reference to like a court of frost and starlight.
Wasn't there a section, I don't remember which chapter it was in, but I think it might have been chapter 3, where someone was talking about like protecting her from Rysand? Was that in?
So yeah, these two dudes come up to her and Ianthe. So she's really leaning on Ianthe because she hates talking to all of these high fae. She finds that their conversation lulls after like 3 minutes because all they want to talk about is like hunting. And Feyre doesn't want to pull another arrow in her whole life right now. She's like, I never want to kill anything. I'm a terrible person and I don't want to touch an arrow. So these guys come and talk to Ianthe, and they're like asking about, what did you just ask about? Oh, yeah, they're like, has the night court guy come?
Yes.
Have you heard from him? And she's like, no. And he's like, well, we'll take care of him for you. He's no he's no match for. He must be scared of Tamlin now that he has all his power. And she's like, you must not know Rysand very well.
I was like, oh.
I know. I was like, she knows.
Also, I remember, I think it was like the night before the wedding, and she was talking about how like Ianthe, like, and Tamlin were talking, and how she would just like fine just to sit there and listen to them talk.
Yeah, she doesn't want to talk. Like, she just hates everything about the situation. She's miserable. She hates all these people. She hates talking to them. She hates her wedding dress with like a burning passion. Like, it sounds like it's 80s-esque in all the worst, poofiest ways. Like, she says like the sleeves are so poofy.
It's funny because it's like she doesn't know that she hates it. It's like, yeah, she's kind of just to herself.
Yeah, she's kind of just like accepted her fate. She doesn't know what to do about this. She's like, this is I've made this decision and now I have to live it out, is basically what she's thinking. So in chapter 4, as she's coming down the aisle, hating everything and herself. Like, she's like, everyone thinks I'm good and I'm bad. I'm a terrible person and no one should look at me and I shouldn't be wearing white. They all think I'm terrible in white. Because I'm not innocent at all. And she says Tamlin looks resplendent, which is like a word I've never really heard someone describe someone as looking. Honestly, like, I want to look up the exact definition. Resplendent definition. Attractive and impressive, through being richly colorful or sumptuous. What the fuck is sumptuous? Sumptuous, splendid, and expensive looking. All right. Interesting way to describe a human being. He's got like a crown of flowers on his head. And yeah, basically she stops like a few feet away from him and he reaches out his hand. And I was like, oh, reaching out your hand. Like a court of stairs. And what's her name? Nesta. But anyway, he reaches out his hand and she like looks around, like begging for help in her head, like screaming, like, help me, someone help me. She looks at Ianthe and Ianthe's like, keep walking towards your true love. And she looks at Lucien and he does nothing. And Rysand can clearly hear these cries for help. Like, she's so desperately crying for help. And then there's a crash behind her, like two boulders ramming into each other. And there's Rysand. And he's like, hello, favorite darling. And that's the end of chapter 4.
Woo! So, I wanted to keep reading.
I know. I was like, damn it. That's how it ends. So, We're finally going to go to the night court. I'm very excited. But yeah, next week we'll read chapters 5 and 6. Night Court Part 1.
Oh my gosh. So excited.
So exciting. That's going to be our show today, y'all. Would love to hear about your favorite Pixar films or your opinions on anything that we said Pixar-wise today in the comments on Instagram or in the YouTube comments. Please share with us. The podcast is edited by Alex Polis and Jake Needham. The music is by Cole Jenkins with vocals by Heather Traska. And we release episodes every Friday. And we are so thankful to have you here. We are about to go record Fangirl Tea Time. I've got a bunch of dating app chronicle stories to tell that I started last week. Natasha, what have you got to tell today?
I don't know.
You haven't written down anything, but I'm sure you've got some stories to tell, updates
My family
to tell.
was just here. I have things.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. And if you are a patron, that will be coming up right after this. Thank you all so much. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.